was the last time you were even on stream?
Oh, it's been a minute. You gotta call me out like that, I guess.
Okay, so the last episode went live on December 18th.
Whew, boy. So this will be plus a month by the time, easily over a month by the time we release this.
Oh,
We're very sorry, faithful listeners who split the veil. It was the holidays and that whole thing, and just shenanigans and all kinds of things that keep us from being able to sit down and record all the time.
Yeah, basically. So I think because we've also been doing the D&D thing with Cole every other week, and like that. Like, while it's fun, it does kind of, like, get in the way. You know, we only have so much time in the day.
True, and I know you're also streaming often on Saturdays, which is when we tend to slot our recording and D&D, so it can turn into kind of a marathon for Caitie if she's basically talking all day. But D&D is fun. Our friend Cole over at The Kingdom, YouTube, look him up, The Kingdom. It's fun D&D that we're doing there.
I guess that's our opening and advertise.
Happy Merry Christmas to everyone. Happy New Year's. Hopefully 2022 is what do you even say at this point?
I hope it's bearable.
Yeah, hopefully it's better than 2021 and 2020, but the bar is so low at this point for being better.
Can we just have a moment to say what the fuck for the last 2 years?
I mean, what the fuck for our whole adult lives as millennials, basically. I don't want to bitch, but it's like there's been a lot of weird shit that's been happening.
Yeah, I can't get my boomer parents to just wrap their heads around, like, every time they say everything's going to be all right. I'm like, all right, Mom, when? It's been a decade, Mom.
In your 40s.
Yeah, like, Jesus Christ. Anyway.
It's good.
Let's talk about the suicide mission.
Let's talk about something fun. We are going to talk about Mass Effect 2, as the title of the episode suggests. We're reviewing Mass Effect 2, where we're going along our journey to sort of rank, not really rank, but just sort of like review and rate the Dragon Age and Mass Effect games, kind of in the same format as we ranked the characters of the Mass Effect and Dragon Age games.
Yes, and I've actually been replaying Mass Effect, so I can actually give a decent thing. So
that's actually, I think in a way, like, even not sort of notwithstanding our format, like we'll make sure we get the ratings in and what have you, but I kind of just want to know what you think of it overall. So I guess if you want to give me your overall thoughts on Mass Effect 2 and work your way around, I guess, if you feel like it, to the story rating.
Yeah, so this kind of, God, I didn't mean for this to be like one of those episodes, but like it just, I can't like not talk about it. Like when I first played Mass Effect, it was 2014. I was just graduating from college. Everything was fine. And I really liked Mass Effect. I was having a lot of fun. It was great. I have fond memories of it. And then 10 years later, almost, it was 2021, I guess, playing through it again, I just, like, so much shit has been going wrong that, like, the underlying, like, not depression, but, like, the, what would you call the feel of, I mean, there is that hopeful feel, like, you are fighting it, but, like, the feeling is, like, you are trying to fight against this hopeless cause and you end up succeeding even though those are great sacrifices. I just don't want to feel that, like, I just...
You want to play Animal Crossing.
Yeah, kind of. I just want to, like, cute and fun and happy. Like, I don't want to talk about, like, big, deep sacrifices and shit going wrong and all my friends dying and all that. Like, there's all this going on. So there's a little bit, like, I know... Okay, Mass Effect 1 was a bit of a slog, because I always thought Mass Effect 1 was a bit of a slog, so that I knew that going in. Mass Effect 2, I had a lot of fun going into it, but, like, kind of when shit started getting really serious, I had, like, my own shit going on, so just kind of like, oh, man, I just don't want to do this right now. So I kind of stalled on it a little bit. I could only imagine going into Mass Effect 3, because I remember that just being fun. But, like... Yeah, I just feel like I'm having a good... I know I would have a good... I know I would have more fun if just shit wasn't going like haywire in my own life. So like I feel like I liked the experience, but it's not the experience I want right now. Does this make any sense?
It makes sense. Like certain games, they tire you. You start to feel tired while playing them. I don't know if
Yeah.
that. It's like when I played Fallout 3 for the first time, I remember like I think that was out at the same time as Fable 2, and I would have to switch off of Fallout 3 because it's like, man, this world is so bleak. You know, it's like I can't play this forever.
Yeah.
Mass Effect 2 is, it is constantly reminding you that you're working up to a quote unquote suicide mission, that you're trying to do something impossible, and you have a group of badasses, but they're also sort of a ragtag group of badasses in a way. You're bringing together a lot of disparate people, so I can see how the tone of it's the dark middle chapter, basically.
Yeah. In a weird way, I don't think Dragon Age. I know people like to say Dragon Age Origins is real dark and whatever. And yeah, like the Deep Roads level can be a bit like, ooh, damn. But like it's really nowhere close to anything that Mass Effect gets to. And I feel like that's why I find the Dragon Age series so much more comfy, is because there's a lot of like goofy shit in the middle.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think Dragon Age Origins is, it's real dark in some spots, but it's not. I guess I don't know how to describe it exactly. It certainly has a different visual palette, but there's some real tough shit going on in Dragon Age Origins.
I mean, there is, but like not close to Mass Effect 2, or Mass Effect 3. I feel like it's not like Mass Effect 3. I feel like, or Mass Effect the series goes into darker places than Origins gets, I think.
I guess I'm thinking of the City Elf origin, to be honest. I don't think Dragon Age ever approaches anything like that.
You mean Mass Effect?
What did I say?
Dragon Age.
Oh, I said Mass Effect doesn't ever approach anything like that.
But like, one, that is entirely skippable. And like, if you don't play a City Elf, then you're never going to see that. Whereas like, I feel like, while definitely dark, one moment doesn't pull down the whole series,
That's true.
Where like Mass Effect
right.
has a bunch of those little moments, and maybe they don't go like as deep, but like it goes close. It goes close.
Yeah, I mean, even if some of this is sort of just implied or kind of spoken about once or twice. I mean, in Mass Effect, if you look at the origins for Shepard, like if you look at the Sole Survivor plus the Ruthless for like Shepard's backstory, like you are playing a Shepard who undoubtedly has PTSD.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way that Shepard can't, like, you lose your family when you're 16, murdered in front of you, and then, maybe the Aku's one, or the one where you make this call of sacrificing all your troops or whatever in Shepard's backstory. That, to me, has always been, like, the underlying, probably the darkest part of it, is Shepard could actually have, like, a ridiculously tragic background based on some options you pick in a menu at the start of the game, and, they're referenced in a couple of side quests in Mass Effect 1 in particular, but, yeah, I mean, no doubt the Mass Effect series has very dark aspects or moments. Did you like it overall?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I liked it. I still think it's probably the strongest of the three from four if we're going to count Andromeda, but like, strongest of the series. But yeah, I did like it. I think where I got to the point where I was like, oh boy, was probably after I had finished all of the character missions. It was doing the DLC. And like I actually streamed the DLC. And maybe that was also part of it because then I made like the game a little bit of like a work thing because I was streaming it. But like even then, Kasumi DLC, didn't really care for it. Overlord was surprisingly good. And then Arrival was like, who the fuck cares? But like at one point they're like, you're going to kill 3 million Batarians. At that point I'm like, fuck it, let's do it.
You're like, what do Batarians look like again?
I don't really give. No, I'm just gonna be crude, but I don't actually mean it, and I know people are gonna say it anyway. But no, I don't care. Like it's like, okay, that's fine.
No, you can say it. It's not crude. I mean, it's not crude to not care about fake bunch of fake people.
The crude thing I was going to say, like, oh, can we fuck the Batarian? No, okay, I don't care. But I...
That horny Twitter's back on your side. Like, yeah, if we can't fuck them, blow them up.
Well, like, even if you could, if there was a romance, I wouldn't give a shit either way. So, like,
I think that's basically the Bioware community. Like, Bioware community will always be like, no, how can you say that? Be nice to people. But then it's like, they're also like, you know, we've had moments on stream where people are like, shank so-and-so, kill so-and-so.
Well, okay, I will say, in the end, it is a game, and it is kind of fun to do the, like, what I call the chaos options. You know what I mean?
Yes, we've all known this since all the way back in KOTOR, since all the way back in Baldur's Gate. It's so fun to be an evil asshole in a video game that you would never, because you don't act like that in real life, obviously.
Yeah, and like it's almost like it's not like watching a horror movie, but it kind of has that same shock value when you're sitting there playing an evil run. You're like, oh, no, I have to do this. Oh no, I did. Here's the consequences of my actions. No, like there's something fun about that.
Yeah, no, there is. It's especially because like on pretty much I don't think I've ever done an initial playthrough or a canon playthrough of a game where I'm not kind of basically trying to be the good guy.
Yeah.
Even in games where you're like an anti-hero, like the Grand Theft Auto games or you know, Red Dead Redemption, like I'm still like, okay, well, what's the goodest option I can pick? That's just kind of, I don't know. I just tend to be that way. So
yeah.
on a second playthrough, on a third playthrough, it's like, well, since I was so careful to be as good as I possibly could, like, I wonder what happens when you knock this over and mess this up and do this. Like, it's just kind of fun.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, kill
like,
those Batarians. Also, fuck the Batarians. If you actually think about it, if you actually look at the lore and you look at all of these different things, like, the Batarians are real shitheads, okay?
I mean, they're shitheads, but you can say like, "Oh, it was a colony. There were kids or whatever." I'm like, I'm
by the
sure.
time Mass Effect 3 comes around, this is like a light spoiler. It's not like a major plot line, but there's a thing where based on certain choices, like the Batarian race could be on the verge of being wiped out. I know sounds major, but it's almost like a codex entry level. I think there might be one voice conversation about it. Like it's like this throwaway thing. And it's just kind of like they try and make it seem like it's this huge deal, and I'm just like, all they've done is aggress humanity, no matter what. Like no matter what happens, the Batarians are trying to kill people. So very sad. But they weren't going to help that much. All right. Anyway.
Yeah.
Fiction, people. It's all made up. Anyway, you were saying DLC, not your favorite part of it.
Well, there were some good moments, but we'll get to that when we actually talk about the DLC. Let's go with the actual ranking thing. Let's talk about the story. So, story. I guess I'm talking, so I'll just go first. But I like. Is this not like the strongest story? It's like, okay, you're revived from the dead, so like all of your things from the past, you don't have to worry about it. Whatever. And like you have to go on a suicide mission. You're collecting all these cool people, and like you make sure you're loyal to them, and like it just really nicely weaves in why you got to do favors for these people, and then like there's a satisfying reward when you do that, and like the collect, like it's all solid. Like I don't know how you would not give a 7 to the story, to be quite honest. Like it's solid, it's good. It like. Maybe like there's some like silly moments where like maybe this doesn't make sense in the lore. I don't know the Mass Effect lore at that moment, but like it just is so tightly woven that like it works. So
you're going 7.
Yeah.
So I for the longest time, Mass Effect 2 is my favorite game of all time. I've made a video called Mass Effect 2 is Overrated. It is a very interesting video because it is I think it's my most liked and most disliked, before they took away dislikes, video I've ever done on the channel. It's kind of interesting. It's like a super divisive topic, and the whole point that I made there is I'm not trying to trash Mass Effect 2. Obviously, it's a great game. It's been my favorite game of all time. But especially when I replayed the Legendary Edition this most recent time, twice actually, what I figured out is that Mass Effect 1 is a lot stronger than I thought it was, in my opinion. I mean, it's like whether or not somebody likes a certain food. It's his taste. It's all subjective. But to my taste, Mass Effect 1 was improved a lot by the quality of life improvements of the Legendary Edition, and therefore going to Mass Effect 2 didn't feel like this huge leap forward anymore to me, as someone who's done that 12, 13 times before the Legendary Edition came out. So I feel like I got a more sober look at Mass Effect 2. And when I did that, I kind of noticed that I don't think it's as strong compared to Mass Effect 3 and Mass Effect 1 anymore for me. Specifically on story, though, I think it might have the best plot, but I certainly don't think it's better than Mass Effect 1 when it comes to theme. And I don't think it's better. I really don't even know if it's better than Mass Effect 3 when it comes to themes. I think that it's a good plot. It has great structure to it. The structure of building a team and going on a suicide mission works really well for the pacing of the game. Mass Effect 1 has kind of a classic open-ended RPG pacing problem, is that there's this huge second act where you're supposed to give players freedom to do whatever they want, skip certain sections, whole planets can potentially be skipped. Take your time, do a bunch of side quests, but also you're supposed to be building the conflict of the main plot. And because it's not a movie or a book, you can't control the timing of that. So the second act ends up being huge and long. Mm-hmm. And you go, should I really be doing all these side quests or should I hurry up and chase Saren? It's kind of like that happens in every video game, but it's hard to avoid.
Yeah.
Mass Effect 2 comes up with this great structure of like, well, you've got to do this crisscross sort of thing and go across the galaxy to build this team up before you can get to the third act, which works tremendously well. You never feel like you're wasting time in the middle of, or at least I never did, playing Mass Effect 2. It always feels like all of these diversions kind of are necessary in order to get you to where you need to go. Mm-hmm. So from a plot standpoint, I think Mass Effect 2 is really brilliant. And the thematic, the things that it's communicating about theme are not, they're not weak, they're not entirely absent. I don't think that it's not establishing as many things as Mass Effect 1 was having to establish, and so I feel like it's more in the background. Mm-hmm. I struggle with what to rate it, though, because I think in many ways it is a 7, but I want there to be some differentiation between Mass Effect 2 and Mass Effect 1.
Okay. Yeah, because you rated Mass Effect 1 a 7 on the story.
Yeah. And it's really hard for me to just not give Mass Effect 2 7s across the board, but I kind of have a new perspective on Mass Effect 2 now. I'm going to go with a 6. I reserve the right to change it. We might do a recap episode, but for now it's a 6.
Okay. So why don't you take us away on the characters then?
Holy shit, the characters. The Elusive Man is what, the best? Did we rank him the best villain or something like that? I think we might have.
Yeah, I think we did.
He was right up there if he wasn't number 1. I think it might have been him and Loghain, who were the top 2. I mean, the Elusive Man is an incredible antagonist. I think a lot of the themes sort of play off of the Elusive Man as far as, what humanity's place in the galaxy is, how vulnerable humanity is, and yet still, the need to work with other species versus sort of defending human interest against alien interest, and all of that kind of comes to a head in the comparison between Shepard as a hero and the Elusive Man as a villain. So from that standpoint, I think it deserves big marks. I think when you look at the party members, it's one of the best goddamn parties ever in any Bioware game. I mean, it's just an outstanding crew. The returning people like Garrus and Tali they really begin to take off.
Yes.
Tali in particular. Garrus in particular. I mean, like really just everybody who's back takes off. I've said this before, but like Joker really has actually surprisingly little dialogue in Mass Effect 1. Like there's actually only a few conversations with Joker in Mass Effect 1.
Oh, yeah.
He doesn't really have that much. Like he really takes off in Mass Effect 2. So like everybody who's back is better. Everybody who's new, whether it's Thane or Miranda or Legion, which is like one of the coolest fucking things ever is having Legion as a companion. I think it is the epitome. Edie, yeah. Oh, exactly. I mean, 100% Edie. I think it's the epitome of a 7 out of 7 for characters. So
yeah. For the most part, I agree. I will say, like, there are definitely the weak characters. I think Kasumi, great on paper. I just don't. She needed more. Like, there's like barely any dialogue with Kasumi. Like, I think her specialization was kind of fun. Watching her like pop up. Like, I'm sitting there shooting from afar and go, "What the Kasumi? What are you doing over there?" That happened all the time. And like she was kind of fun, but like she barely does anything. Like she barely talks to you.
Right.
Zaid, who the fuck cares? And I would kind of say Jacob. Like Jacob, he's good as a foil to Miranda, but I don't think he can stand on his own as a character. Like I just found him to be kind of like, he's good in the opening when you're like, dude, what is going on? And he's just like this normal guy going, oh fuck, I don't know, man. I don't know how this work here. Like he could have been really good. Like I think on paper he's fine, but again, they just didn't weave him into the later parts of the story very well. And like his personal quest, like, was more about his dad than him. And I don't feel like they played off like him really dealing with that as well, because like he's just the type of guy to be like, oh fuck that guy anyway. Like I just feel like we could have talked about him more or have like a more emotional impact or something. I don't know. And then like I mean I didn't, I'm playing a dude right now, so I didn't romance him, but I don't know if like maybe that's in his romance where he like actually like opens up emotionally to Shepard or something. I don't know, but like yeah. But other than that, like, yeah, all the characters are great on their own right. And, like, yeah, like, the ones that are returning just, like, get even better. So, yeah, but is this the best lineup of Bioware characters? I really love the Inquisition cast a lot. They do have some duds. Like, I think Vivian also like needs some work, but I really like the do I want to give both the 7s or this one? So I feel like Inquisition has more I don't want to say heavy hitters, but like a more solid, well, it has characters that I think work better in the game than Mass Effect 2 do. Like, I think Mass Effect 2 has at least 3 duds of a characters. Where Inquisition, it would be like Vivian and then maybe Blackwall. I know some people don't like Sarah, but I like Sarah. I guess I'm just torn on giving this a 6 or a 7.
You're spot on. I mean, I think you're making great points. You're doing very well by thinking about how it ranks along the curve. You're actually, I would seem like an idiot if I changed my score at this point because I said it's the epitome of a 7 out of 7. But when you talk about Inquisition, I start jumping ahead, going, I don't want to talk about the Mass Effect 3 crew, but it's like there's a weird comparison there because Mass Effect 3 is like the perfect. It's the final one, so they gave you everybody back, right? You have Liara, you have the Vermeer survivor, whether it's Caden or Ashley. You have your ultimate Shepard crew back. You lose Jack and Thane and Grunt and these other like very specific Mass Effect 2 people, but it is sort of like the classic crew back.
Yeah.
And I'm going to struggle with, how to not give that its credence against the Mass Effect 2 folks, so.
Yeah, I almost want to give it a 6, but I'm just wondering if that's just my Inquisition bias.
I mean, it's not a bias. It's if you feel like there's a part of me that wants to give the story a 7, but I want there to be a distinction between the fact that I think ME1 deserves to be higher. I mean, you can still do that.
Yeah. No, okay, we're also including antagonists, though. And, like, again, the Elusive Man is so much better than Corypheus.
That's the thing, yep.
Yeah, but I will say the romances, if this is including that, are better in Inquisition than Mass Effect 2. I feel like the Mass Effect 2 romances, because I did Tally. Maybe Tally's romance is better in 3 or whatever, but, like, it was just kind of, like, it was sweet, it was cute, but it was just kind of like, oh, all right. That was nice. Anyway, back to the Suicide Mission. Where I feel like in Inquisition, it's like a bigger part of the story. So maybe that kind of evens out with the antagonist. Collectors, they're just a good big. I think I'm okay. My heart is saying a 6, so I'm going to say a 6. But like, if we do like a recap episode, or like someone comes up with a good point in the comments or something, I might change it. Because like they're very, very good. I feel like I just have that bias towards Inquisition more, and so that's where this is coming from.
Mm-hmm.
Is this the best Mass Effect has? Maybe. I haven't replayed 3 yet. I haven't started. So maybe when I play 3, I'm like, oh, everyone was back and it was amazing, and then that gets the 7. I don't know, but I liked the variety of characters in Mass Effect 2. I like how strong most of them were. And like even like the ones that were weak, like I don't necessarily think they were bad. I just want more of them. Whereas like there's definitely been Bioware characters even in this like lineup of games we're doing that like I just like PB. I don't ever want to think about PB again. She if she just disappeared, I would be fine. It wasn't like one of those. It was just I wish there was more. I guess it's a Sebastian situation. So yeah, okay, I'm going 6. That's my final answer for now.
I think the just last thing on the Mass Effect 2 characters, like Jack, Thane, I'll throw Legion in there. Like they make it the most unique cast ever.
Yeah,
and it's really hard to deny. Like they're so, those 3 in particular are so either morally gray or sort of like in the case of Legion, he's sort of ambivalent to organic morality, right? Like he has a completely different paradigm in which he processes information, and so that makes the Mass Effect 2 crew like the perfect cast for the dark middle chapter. Like it just feels decidedly different, even if maybe it has a dud or two. And it's not the gold standard. Like it's not the one you want to go out on. You want to finish on that Mass Effect 3 crew, but if you're going to switch it up and go for something really different in the dark middle chapter, you couldn't do it any better than this cast.
Yeah. And like even if like the other characters, like, you know, you already have a relationship with Tali and Garrus, and so you're thinking, oh, am I really going to care about these other characters? You do. You do give a shit about what they're, and like you're not just attached with Garrus and Tali at your hip, even though you have a bias towards them. Like the others are so solid that you end up really liking them, and that's hard to do. So there was a hurdle there, and they like cleared it easily.
Yeah, I remember the first time I played it, when I got done with the major mission, the first person I wanted to talk to was Thane. Every time. I don't know if it was the voice. I don't know if it's just like the acting was so great. I always wanted to talk to that guy first. So it's a big accomplishment that they did that.
Yeah. Weird thing. Okay, when I first played, I completely agree with you. But the second time I played, I was like, I know your story. Like, I don't know. I just didn't get that again for some reason.
100%. As somebody who's played it a bunch of times, I'll never be able to capture like that initial time of like discovering who his character is, because your view of what you think a Drell assassin is when he's killing Nasana Dantius in the mission where you recruit him compared to where he ends up, it totally turns your expectations upside down. After that, that's how you think of things, so you can never have that sort of reversal anymore.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, do you want to do gameplay?
Gameplay. I might surprise some people on this. For the longest time, it was like, again, you know, Mass Effect 2's maybe the best in the gameplay. First of all, I don't think there's any way it can be considered the best in the gameplay. I think Mass Effect 3 is better in every way from gameplay. Not to jump ahead too much, but like anything that Mass Effect 2 improves upon from Mass Effect 1, Mass Effect 3 improves upon it more. Mm-hmm. Whether it's the cover system, the weight of the guns, how the aiming feels, power, combo detonations, everything, Mass Effect 3 is better across the board. Mass Effect 2 is better in some things, like just basically the core gunplay, the cover system, maybe the amount of damage that you can take and that enemies can take. Enemies are less spongy in Mass Effect 2, by and large, I guess. But Mass Effect 1 it's much better from the standpoint of a role-playing game. There's way more options for upgrading your character, customizing your build, actually making you and the companions feel somewhat distinct depending on what options you choose for them. And so from an RPG gameplay standpoint, I think Mass Effect 2 is actually kind of lacking compared to the other games, even compared to Andromeda. I mean, really, if we were to even throw Andromeda in there, Andromeda customization is actually really cool. Mm-hmm. Like it's one of the, like, gameplay is one of the reasons why you should play Mass Effect Andromeda. The more I look at this entire franchise and in particular the trilogy, I'm kind of not like, I don't look forward to the Mass Effect 2 gameplay anymore. Mm-hmm. I'm almost kind of like, okay, starting Mass Effect 2, like, man, I'm really looking forward to seeing the characters. I kind of just can't wait until I get to the Mass Effect 3 biotic detonations. Because everything just feels a little too, I don't know, it just doesn't feel as smooth as Mass Effect 3. And especially with the improvements that they made to Mass Effect 1, it feels like this tiny incremental improvement on core gameplay between 1 and 2 as far as the shooting is concerned, and that's about it. So with that being said, and given the fact that I think the role play systems are a lot better in Mass Effect 1, given the fact that I think, I consider dialogue choices in Bioware games to be gameplay. I think the dialogue wheel is way more robust and built out in Mass Effect 1 than in Mass Effect 2. I feel compelled to give this a 5 at most.
Okay. Real quick on our rating. So 5 is okay. So 4 is like middle of the road.
I've always thought of 4 as good.
Okay.
Oh no, I'm sorry. 4. Sorry. 5, no. That's right. 4 is true neutral. 5 is good.
So I gave Mass Effect 1 a 3 because it was painful at times for me. I do think Mass Effect 2 definitely improved upon it, specifically on the power abilities, because Mass Effect 1, there were power abilities and I literally never used it because I didn't care. I actually used them a lot in Mass Effect 2, and there was things I really like. I love that stupid drone. I don't know why.
It's great. It's fantastic. That's why.
I love it. Me and Tally, so for all the Mass Effect games I played, I was always engineer because I just love that stupid little drone. Even in Andromeda, I got the drone. But yeah. So it is an improvement, but I think I just don't like shooting guns because I have really bad aim.
Yeah, fair enough.
And it just annoys me. I kind of just I like how the Dragon Age does it, where you go, game, I want to attack this buddy, and it'll just do it. I don't actually have to aim anything with with the exception of AoE attacks. But at that point, you're pausing the game. You're like, I'm going to gently place this AoE attack here. No, maybe here.
And it's a very big AoE.
Yeah. So even if they move, you're like, oh, they moved 2 meters to the left. That's fine. It will work out.
You can't miss if you're using Blizzard or whatever that one huge ice storm is.
So I like that a lot more. Having to aim is just because I'm a scrub, it just doesn't work for me very well. So I'm sure if you go back to the gameplay, it's just me shooting off into space, just going ah. I do like they added the quick time events. I kind of wish Dragon Age would do something like that, because I feel like Dragon Age as a whole, there is that you can if you are at a point where you need to make a crucial decision and it's very important that you do this right now, you can actually just walk away for however long you want and come back, and the decision option will still be there, rather than the quick time events where it's do this now or it's gone. I kind of find those fun, and I like that a lot, and I like that they added that. And I feel like I haven't really was that the first time? I don't know. For me as a gamer, that was the first time I ever saw anything like that. So I kind of want to give it a 5 too. Is essentially what I'm saying. For Mass Effect 1, I was just slogging through the gameplay and going, oh god. But when I was playing Mass Effect 2, I was like, okay, I'm I don't like guns. I don't like shooting. I'm bad at this, but I'm having fun. It's bearable. So I think that's what I'm going to go with.
Okay. Yeah, that's a very interesting question as well about who did it first as far as a timed response.
Yeah.
I'm sure there are other games, maybe Indigo Prophecy, which also released this Fahrenheit, I think, in some regions. That's the Quantic Dream.
Yeah.
One, the David Cage thing. I think that one may have had. I know Heavy Rain did, but that was after Mass Effect. Maybe Indigo Prophecy did. Can't remember.
Okay. But so let's go to the execution and design. I think the Mass Effect 1 already had a really strong design, and I feel like Mass Effect 2 just did it better. I don't know. I thought that all the character designs are really solid. Jack and Legion and Thane all have a really striking design. Even Miranda, even though she's kind of milk toast as far as compared to Jack, the pure white cat suit, she's very easy to tell who's who on the field of battle.
Mm-hmm.
And then the design for the collectors was unsettling, and their base, and like I kind of liked that it almost looked like a beehive, like it was very insect like, which I hate bugs, so that was kind of like a type of thing. I do think that as far as design goes, Mass Effect 3 is probably going to win for me, just because all of those Reaper designs are just so unsettling that even though the siren noise is basically the same noise as the terror demons, the sirens actually scare me a lot more than the terror demons ever did. So I think that we gave Mass Effect 1 a 6. I think I'm actually just going to keep that. Well, now I'm thinking maybe I changed the execution design for Mass Effect 1. Because I think 1 was better than 2, but 3's probably deserves the 7. Well, I'm gonna say a 6 for now, and then if we need to edit scores, we'll do that. But like, it's better than 1, but it's still really good, and it did a lot of things better. Like I liked the design of the ship more, not like the outside, but like the actual layout of the ship that you get to walk around. I just found that way more intuitive than the other ship and stuff like that. Yeah, I thought the level designs were good. I didn't really get lost very often. I thought the dialogue was great. Like there really isn't, like I think it has like some really like memorable lines, especially from the companions and stuff like that. The music, like the Elusive Man theme, a banger.
Incredible. 100%. Yeah.
Like it's really good.
Suicide Mission, the Normandy being re-revealed. There's so many great epic soundtrack moments.
Yeah, so it's I really can't think of, is it a 7?
Aesthetically, it's outstanding. Like if there's one thing that I can say maybe Mass Effect 2 kind of is still the best in the trilogy, it's that the aesthetics are outstanding.
Yeah. I think, okay. I said sick, I'm going to keep it, but like it could be higher. Maybe Mass Effect 1 is lower. I guess that's what I'm thinking of. Because like maybe Mass Effect 3 really perfects it, but like again, I haven't started it yet, so I can't really like double down on it. What do you think?
This is a real tough one for me again, because personally, like if I talk about it from like a favorite standpoint, I appreciate Mass Effect 1 more. I really do, because I think that what it has to do to establish the entire aesthetic of the franchise is gargantuan. I don't necessarily think that reflects in the scoring of the two games, if that makes sense. I know it kind of sounds like I'm having my cake and eating it too, but it's like when you walk into the world of Mass Effect and you see all of this visual language being established, like clearly Mass Effect 1 like does that heavy lifting. And I would actually argue that if you compare the two, that Mass Effect 1 has a more understated visual style. It's a little bit more muted. It feels a little less distinct in a good way. Like I kind of like how some of the Normandy SR1 and some of the places in the Citadel that you can see, they look, I don't know how to describe this. They look kind of normal in a weird way. And I know it sounds weird because it's a fantastic science fiction world, but Derek Watts and Casey Hudson talked about this for Mass Effect 1, in that they felt that science fiction in a lot of ways either goes pristine, idyllic, sort of utopian future Star Trek, or post-apocalyptic, grungy, dirty. And they were like, well, why is there not more science fiction that has kind of a lived-in feel, where it's designed, yes, by the people who made it to be idyllic and utopian and whatever, but it's not. So there's some dirt, there's some scratches, but it sort of still holds up the appearance of being the utopia if you don't look too close. I love that concept, right? And I think Mass Effect 1 gets that perfectly. Whereas Mass Effect 2, not in a bad way, but because it's the dark middle chapter, it leans a little bit more towards the darker elements of sci-fi visuals, which is fine. If you're going to go to Omega, which is another thing I wanted to mention, is that Mass Effect 2 kind of goes to more interesting places. Yeah. Like Omega is such an interesting place to visit. So the aesthetics of Mass Effect 2 kind of get to be higher because of the locales that are seen. And Omega itself is incredible, right? It's like the dark counterpart to the Citadel, and you just get to see a lot of really cool stuff there. When you talk about that, when you talk about the soundtrack, when you talk about the acting, I mean the cast that's in, Mass Effect 2 is pretty incredible.
Yeah.
This is a tough one for me to score because there's parts of me that think it's on par with Mass Effect 1. There's other elements that I think Mass Effect 1 does better, but I kind of think like Mass Effect 2 almost deserves a 7 here because if there's one thing that it's really good at, it's good at characters and aesthetic.
Yeah.
I feel like I might change this later, but I'm going to go with a 7.
Okay. That's fine. All right, then the DLC. Well, why don't you start us off with DLC?
The DLC is interesting because I can definitely agree with you that some parts are weak, but I think for me, it's certainly stronger than Mass Effect 1.
Oh, yeah.
Also, I don't think you mentioned earlier anything about Lair of the Shadow Broker.
Yes.
Which is probably considered like the greatest piece of Mass Effect DLC, except for probably Citadel. And that's a really good one. That's a really great one where you get the advantage of having Liara back. The Shadow Broker is kind of like this really mysterious figure, which I think a lot of people figured would never be revealed. And so seeing that revealed in the middle chapter is really awesome. Mm-hmm. Overlord, I tend to find like I don't really like any of the build up in Overlord. Like I kind of don't like most of it. I just think the ending is kind of really impactful, right? Like from a story standpoint, like it hits this high point emotionally. I think I can't get the ending of Overlord out of my head, right? Like it's one of those things that sticks with you. You remember it. Arrival. I actually quite liked Arrival. I liked, some of the pseudo minor stealth elements that were in there, even though I know a lot of people were frustrated with that. I love being able to do the thing where you survive that one attack that's supposed to clearly overwhelm you. If you survive it, you get some achievement, which is kind of fun. I just kind of I like I like the fact that DLC very clearly leads into Mass Effect 3. That's kind of like the thing that BioWare was doing at the time, where the last piece of DLC leads into the next game. It's kind of like that with Legacy and Dragon Age 2 also. So I greatly enjoyed that. I didn't think I was going to go this high, but I guess I'm going to go with like a... Okay. I was going to say 6, but what's a 7 then, right? Like DAI is going to get I'll tell you right now,
it's
spoiler alert. Yeah, right. Like DAI is getting a 7. I feel like Citadel has to get a 7. Shit. Okay. Poor Mass Effect Andromeda.
I know.
Nothing. It gets NA. I'm going to go with a 6.
All right. Okay, so you kind of already heard me rant about this. Arrival, I really liked Overlord a lot. Gameplay, like the actual like gameplay thing, I was like, okay, whatever. I actually pull up a list of these. So Kasumi's Still in Memory, I thought could have been good. It just felt really quick, and I felt like there should have been more build up to the relationship of Kasumi and whatever the other guy's name, like her boyfriend's name was. I liked the kind of like you had to go to a party. It's the problem is it is almost beat for beat the the Dragon Age thing, for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
What even is it? The Talus one. Fuck. Mark of the Assassin, like where you go to a fancy party and you have to sneak around the thing to steal a thing, except rather than Mass Effect, there's like rather in Dragon Age where there's like a got you, where like, oh, Talus is actually the Canary and all this thing, and it goes that direction. Like Kasumi's was actually truthful to you, like, oh yeah, no, we're stealing my boyfriend's memories and that's it. And like, I just didn't. I know Kasumi was grieving, but I feel like if I had lost my husband and all I had for him was like a box of his memories and he said, please destroy it because there's some really harmful shit in here and it could really hurt a lot of people, I would destroy it. So like I just couldn't relate to her in that moment of like, I get why you're grieving and I get it's really hard. but I don't really want to watch a video of me banging Michael like Kasumi was doing.
What?
No,
What? Wait, was that what that story was about?
Well, no, wait, at the very end, she's like watching his memories, and like there's very clearly a scene of her jumping on her boyfriend and about to sleep with him, and she's like has a smile, and he's like, "Yeah, I love watching this," and he's like, "Well, but you gotta destroy it." She's like, "Wait, no," and like that's like the ending scene, and I just found that kind of like I don't really want to watch those. I was there, yeah, like. I have the same memories. Like, I don't really know what the point of, you know what I mean? Like,
I do, but I gotta tell you, I've played that DLC. I don't know how many, over a dozen times or whatever the case is. And I know the scene you're talking about. It's like a very PG-13 lead into, I guess, what would have been like them having sex. But never in all the times that I've played that have I ever contextualized it as like harmful secrets mixed with amateur porn. Like then Kasumi's like, I can't give it up, man. I got to have it. I'm not gonna close my Pornhub Pro account.
I paid for this, goddammit.
I've never once thought of it in those terms until just now. And like now that you put it that way, I'm like, oh yeah. She does kind of have a creepy smile on her face when she's looking at it.
It's what it. So like, I know it's not exactly what they're aiming for. But...
Kasumi's basically the Bioware community. She's horny on main. It's just like horny over everything, man.
And she comments about your romance too. Like, at least I think I remember her commenting on my romance with Tally. So yeah, she's.
Oh yeah, and you know what? Actually, she makes comments about all kinds of people on the crew.
Yeah.
And how she crushes on Jacob really hard.
Really?
Yeah, there's evidence that she creeps on him and she watches him do sit-ups with his shirt off.
In Mass Effect 2, or?
Maybe that's a reference that's given in Mass Effect 3, but okay. I think maybe she definitely mentions it in Mass Effect 2. Like if you regularly go down to her cabin to talk to her, which most people do not because she doesn't have like cinematic cutscenes, she just has like chirp lines.
Yeah.
She will continually give you new stuff. So does Zaid. Some of Zaid's stories, if you go down there to talk to him, they're actually really good. And the actor does a phenomenal job, but no one ever does because you don't get like cinematic angles for those conversations. And so I think people just think of them as boring.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, I would try to go down there and see what they say, but I feel like at one point I just started getting like repeating lines. So I don't know if like I just didn't progress them enough or what. I don't even know.
It's not clear. I know that feeling as well. I think it's like maybe after major missions they'll have something, but certainly there does come a point sooner with them than the other characters where you're going to start to get repeats.
Yeah. As far as the like, what have I not hope? Firewalker, who gives a shit?
Terrible. I mean, let's just be honest. It's fucking terrible. It's one of those. The completionist in me keeps playing it on my reruns of the trilogy, and at a certain point, I'm just gonna have to be like, stop doing this to yourself because it's so bad.
Is it Overlord that you have to use the same hammerhead thing? Yeah. So yeah. I played Overlord before I played Firewalker, and so Overlord just kind of assumes you have already played Firewalker and know how to control the damn thing. So I'm sitting there on stream going, "What the fuck am I doing?"
Yeah, and it's so weak, and you have to actually fight with it, and it's like this is so dumb.
Yeah, but I just love the ending of Overlord so much that saves it. But on Lair of the Shadow Broker. I'm going to make the controversial thing and say I liked Overlord more than I liked Lair of the Shadow Breaker.
Go off. Okay, yeah.
And I do wonder if that's just because I knew what was happening. Like, it had already been spoiled for me. Like I played Mass Effect 3. Of course I know Liara is the Shadow Broker. Of course I know she's going to win. Of course I know she's going to kick ass. Like, I know all these things. And, like, I kind of vaguely knew of like who the Shadow Broker was because like there was something I was watching or reading and I saw concept art of it and I was like, oh, okay, it was the Bioware 25 book, I don't know, but I kind of already knew all the twists and turns and I was kind of expecting it and like it was good and I was like, oh, okay, here's the like the cop at the beginning was so obviously like one thing that didn't annoy me. Okay, so you go in there and like there's like the cop that's investigating why Liara was getting shot at, and then Shepard just goes like, oh yeah, she was investigating the Shadow Broker. I'm like, no, she's obviously a plant. Why? Like, I don't actually know this. I'm just like, it's just so obvious that this would be the plot beat. And it annoyed me that I couldn't like be distrustful of the cop lady. So like I guess like in a mixture of that one moment and then I already knew what was going on, that it was just kind of like, oh, okay. I mean, like I'm not saying it was bad. I feel like being spoiled for it definitely ruined it in a sense. And like I did really like the scene where Liara actually takes controls, and there's a moment where she's like, "Oh fuck, what do I do, man?" That was very relatable, and there's like this moment of like, "Okay, we're just gonna do this," and that she does it, and that she does great at it, and I think that was because that moment definitely bridged the gap of Mass Effect 1 Liara to Mass Effect 3 Liara.
Absolutely.
Where you have that, like, there's that moment where you see Mass Effect 1 Liara and she's freaking out, and then there's just that, like, hardening moment where, like, I gotta do this. And then she turns into Mass Effect 3 Liara. And that was cool to see. But after that, So, I guess my ranking of it is going to keep that in mind. And so, like, I'm gonna be the controversial asshole, and I'm gonna put it as a 5.
Okay, no, not controversial. I mean, that's good rationale for it.
Yeah, the DLC was good. I just think that as someone who already knew what was going on, I wasn't like thrilled about it. And for some reason, like Trespasser, even though I knew it was going to happen in like let's be honest, the Trespasser ending, we all know what's going to happen at the end of Trespasser. Like, the only thing that's a real shock is that you lose your arm. We all know, and like maybe you have to disband the Inquisition. Like, Trespasser, you defeat the Canary, and like you're probably not going to have Solus come befriend. Like, you all knew that going in. We were just all hopeful. And it was still managed to be thrilling, where I knew it was going to happen as later the Shadow Broker, and that just like took the teeth off of it. Where I didn't know it was going to happen in Overlord, and I really liked it. So maybe if I knew it was going to happen in Overlord, I wouldn't feel the same way about it. But I don't know. So that's my rant on the DLC.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say a word for Lair of the Shadow Broker. Also, like, certain things aesthetically blew my mind, like being on the Shadow Broker ship, like getting from the outside of the ship. Visually, I thought that was stunning. Actually getting to see a Yogg and like the introduction of that species fully into the franchise, I thought was incredible. I think the Yogg is probably near the top of my list of underutilized lore or story potential in the Mass Effect franchise. Just stuff like that was really, really cool.
Yeah, and I thought the boss fight for, I guess, the Shadow Broker, I thought that was really strong. He felt like a big bat. Like, at one point, he's sitting there in his like tiny little tux, and you're like, oh, look at the little guy. And then he just like opens his desk because you pissed him off, and he's huge. You're like, oh, big little guy. Okay, all right. So, and like the voice work was solid. So yeah, like they're a good DLC. Like, I don't mean to say it's not. I guess having been spoiled, it spoiled it for me. Who would have guessed? But I feel like not all, like the Citadel DLC, even though like I've already played it, I know what happens. I think you can play it and still have that excitement again. I haven't played it again, so maybe I'm gonna eat my words next time we do this. But I don't know. So
yeah, ditto that. Wrapping up on Mass Effect 2, a couple things I want to know. You already kind of alluded to the fact that you're playing male Shep. Did romance anyone in this run, or did you romance anyone from Mass Effect 2?
Tally. We're doing Tally.
Okay.
Yeah, so I guess my Shepherd story, I'm trying to play like an in the middle with Paragate or something, Renegon.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
Leaning towards Paragon, but doing a lot of Renegade stuff too as a dude who romances Tally. I did sleep with Liara in the first game, because I wanted to see like what the breakup scene was like in the message. Which that was also, you're in the layer broker, and Liara's like, "Oh, do you want me to come to your ship?" You're like, "Nah." And she's just sitting there like, "Oh, okay." And she gets real sad. You're like, "Okay, whatever."
All right, I'll let her down easy.
Yeah. So I don't know if it was easy. It was kind of brutal in my memory of it. I don't know. It's on stream.
The fun thing about that is you can get
Mhm.
back with her in 3, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah, and you turn her down pretty hard in 2. So I don't think I think I'm gonna go Tally all the way because I just like Tally so much. I wanted to see her romance, but I do eventually want to do Liara because I really feel like the game wants you to romance Liara.
In a way, yes, she definitely feels like people call her the canon romance. I think one of the most interesting things ever is don't romance her in 1. You know, you're basically friends with her then in 2, and you can still end up romancing her in 3. Like, they leave the door open all the way, and it's just kind of like, yeah, there's always that avenue for Liara.
Yeah.
Death's suicide mission, did everybody make it out?
Oh, yeah. I went in, so I obviously have played the game before, and the last time I played, I used a guide. So I still had like a vague memory of that, but then again, I played in 2014 and I've not looked at a guide since. So like I had like some vague notions, and I went in without a guide and everyone survived. Which I was pretty confident on all my choices because the only thing I really remembered was that to bring everyone back to the ship, I remember Zaid was a safe choice. And when Miranda's saying that she can do the barrier, she's a fucking lying bitch and you choose anyone but. That's all I remembered going in. And there was the very last choice of like who leads the like second mission or whatever. I sat there, was like, oh my God, I have no idea who to choose. Those are all, I don't know what to do. So I ended up sending Jacob, which was the correct choice. But like there was a moment there I honestly thought I was going to lose Jacob. And it was one of those like, oh no, stop.
Yeah, whoever does that gets shot, if I'm not mistaken. They get shot in the gut or shot in the face if they're not a good enough leader. I don't know how that works exactly, but yeah, no matter who you pick, you gasp and go, oh no, not them, because they take a wound for sure.
Yeah, but like it was a moment I kind of almost wanted someone to die because I just never have had that happen. So, like, I kind of got excited, like, oh, yeah, Jacob died. That's perfect. I don't care about him anyway. And then he, like, revealed the wound, and he's, like, fine. I'm like, oh, damn, okay. I'm like, and then I sat there, like, I feel like I should be happy everyone survived. But, like, I kind of wanted someone to die. Just so, like, it could be like, oh, no, I lost Garrus. What, you know, like, what's the next game going to be like? So, but no, everyone's good.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I think the main thing for anyone who's never looked up a guide or is interested in getting everyone out alive, all of the role choices are pretty self-explanatory. Like, you know, send Tally or Legion through the vents. It's pretty clear cut. Like, take, you know, Samara or Jack or someone to do the barrier. Like, they're all fairly self-explanatory. The part that gets people is who do you leave holding the line and who do you take with you into the final battle? And basically the good rule of thumb, there's a whole matrix of like what their scores are essentially like behind the scenes, but just take squishy people with you and leave the bulky sort of tanky people behind pretty much.
Yeah, I ended up kind of doing that on accident. Because I remember that who you took with you almost always survived unless you really fucked it up. So I'm like, okay, I really want to see what Kasumi does in the next game, even though it's probably nothing. So I'm taking her with me, and she's super squishy.
Yes.
And I'm romancing Tally, and I want her to survive, so I'm taking Tally, and everyone else can do whatever. And it just ended up working out. So.
Yeah. Kasumi's like a hero every Mass Effect 2 playthrough because I always bring her because she's going to die if you don't.
Does she really die if you don't bring her?
Well, she's like, I think she has one of the lowest scores. And so you want to take her and take Tally. That's and also they both have overload. Yeah, Kasumi's got overload, I'm pretty sure. And so they are actually kind of useful in the battle as well.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Which I will say that like when I was playing the end game, like the suicide mission and the final boss, granted I'm playing on easy, so haha, joke's on me, but like it was a lot quicker than I remember it being. It was like one point I'm like, oh, okay, there's round 2. Wait, oh, that's it. Oh,
yeah,
okay. But it was, I mean, yeah, I like the suicide mission, but everyone's fine, so yay.
All right, very good. I think we've covered everything. Is there anything else on Mass Effect 2 that you think we should cover?
I don't think so. Oh, can we just like I'm doing a run with like almost no mods just because like I kind of want to get a vanilla, but like what the hell did they do to the beards in this game? Like, I had a mod because I gave my guy a beard because that's who I am, and like the unmodded beards just look so strange because it's like really light and almost non-existent, and it was kind of creepy. So I had a mod. I don't know if that's like a special edition or the new version or whatever, or Mass Effect 2 just did that, but yeah, it was kind of like, whoa, hey buddy, what what happened here, dude? Looks like you basically shaved, but you didn't do it quite well enough, so it's just kind of like a creepy beard.
I don't know. I at this point, after many runs and many custom shepherds, I just use default male shep. I just use shep blue every time now. If I'm doing, well, not every time, but most of the time, if I'm doing bro shep, it's just the default.
This is weird, but I just feel like I failed if I use the default character, so I just never use the default character.
Sheplu looks like I feel like the quality of the texture on that head is better than the other ones. It's just like it looks better to me. So I'm just going to choose the one that looks the best, honestly.
No, they did a great job, especially with Shep. I think female Shep is I don't like how she looks, to be quite honest.
I don't either. Yeah, that
weird.
Yeah.
The eye, it doesn't. I feel like the basic FemShep look just doesn't fit. At least for the third head. I know they like backtracked it to the others, but like it just, something about it's weird.
It's not based on a real person. The way that the way that they used Vanderloo, the model guy for Shepard, for male Shep, and it doesn't work. And then they used a real model for female Ryder, and we all know how that went.
Well, female Ryder.
Because it doesn't look like the model. It doesn't look like her.
Yeah, there's something weird about the texturing. Then I do remember, like, I don't know if this is a myth, but like someone said that Ryder originally looked like one way, and in like the beta version they sent out for testing or something like that, and then like they redid the texture to something worse.
That's right.
Yeah,
the model who they used for female, well, for both male Shep and female Shep. I mean, they're both just immaculate looking people. To be even the dude, I gotta say, I go, Jesus Christ, that's a real fucking photogenic young man you guys got there. I mean, like, holy shit, they look like models, And then I think I don't know, maybe at some point during the development, they're like, oh, why do these fucking people look so perfect? Let's make them look less perfect. And so that's what they did. And I get it. I'm not saying that the Bioware was being shitty about it. Maybe they just felt, let's make them look not so much like supermodels, I think they just kind of tried to make them look more naturalistic, down to earth, more like somebody who's, just got pulled out of a cryo tube. I don't know. But I feel like they went a little too far, to the point where you look at a picture of, let's say you look at a picture of Vanderloo, whose Shepard is based on. You look at the picture of Shepard in game and you go, oh yeah, clearly that's the guy. Mm-hmm. You look at a picture of male Ryder model, female Ryder model next to the characters in game, and you go, what the hell did you guys do? Like, what happened? Because it doesn't look like them anymore.
Yeah, like I feel like, I know there's like one thing I hate about like online discourse, which already we shouldn't even be talking about it, but like people are like, oh, the man babies are just upset that she's not hot anymore and you can't want to fuck her. No, they made her goofy as hell, guys. Dude, she looks like she's 10. That's what bothers me. Like, look, I love me some weird looking women. Love it. Aveline, give her jaw kisses. I love it to death. But Aveline also looks like she belongs in the universe. I don't mind weird looking women, but she doesn't like look weird. She just looks like a child. And I find that much weirder than anything, like she honestly looks like a twerpy teenager. And like I played a custom in the game, so who really even cares? But like looking at her face, I was like, why? She honestly looks like the younger sister, and they're supposed to be twins, like it just, I don't know.
I mean, just on that topic, I feel compelled to say I completely agree with you. Like, I cannot stress, I said this at the time, I've been saying it ever since Mass Effect Andromeda came out. Like, I cannot stress the degree to which I do not actually care.
Yeah.
Like, I do not actually care what the female protagonist looks like. I don't care. You can put a paper bag over her head. You can make her super ugly. You can make her the most perfect looking model. Who cares? She's fake. It doesn't matter. Like, I'm looking at the back of her head. It's a third person game. Like, the vast majority of time, I'm using powers. I'm shooting at enemies. I don't care. Even in the cutscenes, it's fun to make a custom if you want and play around and make it look a certain way. But it's like, I'm not there to stare at the female character's face and just like admire it one way or another. That's not the point of the game. The point of the game is make story choices, build relationships, shoot things, use powers, etc. It's weird, and I don't care. The only thing that I say is like, well, let's just not be in denial about it. Like, let's just tell the truth, and then we can go on not caring one way or another.
Yeah. I feel like we just really need to change the language, because like, it's not about FemShep being pretty. It's not about Ryder not being pretty. It's about they don't look like real people. They don't look their age. While I think male Ryder actually looks decent, and a male Shep do look kind of their age and look like real people. And like, it bothers me that the discourse is, oh, they're not hot, and oh, you're just mad because she's not hot, when like, that's not what I'm saying, and that's not what a lot of people are saying. Like, she looks like a weird anime girl, FemShep does, and this one looks like a little girl. Like, I don't care if they're hot. Like, I think a really good example of this that looks like a real person is actually Aloy from Horizon Zero Dawn, or whatever it's called. What is it?
You want to hear something funny?
What?
My girlfriend just owned Aloy the other day. I'm replaying Horizon Zero Dawn because the sequel's coming out in a month, and my girlfriend's watching me play, and she goes, just like apropos of nothing, like just silence, and my girlfriend just goes, "She's ugly."
But that's great. No, who cares? She looks like a real person.
No, not according to my girlfriend. So I said, well, wait a minute. What do you mean? Why does she look ugly? What's with that? She goes like, well, not that she's ugly, but like, she doesn't look real. She thought she did not look realistic at all.
Oh, really?
But she has an issue with the characters in those in Horizon generally, that they look plasticky, and I agree with that. It's not so much the design of the character, but the tech or whatever they're using for those textures looks really plasticky. It really does.
Okay. So, again, I have not played the game, but like but she I could probably go off in the street, point to a random woman, and she looks closer to Aloy than FemShep. You know what I mean? Like, that looks like someone off the street. And I like that look. I like a normal looking woman, and I think Aloy is closer to that than Shepard or Ryder ever was.
Okay, I know we're going off on a different subject, but it's a podcast. We can do whatever we want. So on Aloy, because I want to talk about this a little bit. Okay. Addendum, bonus topic. On Aloy, there's this controversy, I guess, because the gamer boys got mad, so it's a controversy. Well, it's not just the gamer boys getting mad. A couple gamer boys got mad, and then the other people got madder at the fact that a couple gamer boys got mad, because they said her face looked fuller, a little rounder. Okay. First of all, and I'm not going to go with a fucking pixel by pixel analysis and the way some of these dweebs have on both sides, dweebs. Okay. Because people really took at a glance, when I first watched that trailer, at that point, it had been many years since I played Horizon Zero Dawn. So maybe I'm fucking wrong. I don't know. When I saw that trailer, I'm like, yeah, her face looks rounder. Like, it just looks bigger or whatever. Okay. It just does. I don't want to lie. To my eyes, it does. Also, who gives a flying fuck? It's a game about fighting robot dinosaurs and like fucking, I don't want to spoil shit, but there's all kinds of wacky shit in that story. I don't care. I don't care if her face looks like a fucking blimp. I don't fucking care. I don't give a shit. I want to run around. I want to climb shit. I want to see a giant robot that looks like a giraffe with a plate on its head and climb it and unlock the map and then fight a T-Rex dinosaur thing. I don't fucking care what her face looks like. And also, if some people do and they're like, oh, her face should be fucking skinnier or whatever. I mean, they're entitled to their opinion. Who gives a fuck? It's a completely unrealistic world. It's all made up anyway. I can't believe people spend so much time talking about it, to be honest.
Yeah, the only reason I even like it's just everywhere. This is a whole Twitter thing. Like, everyone just gets butthurt about shit that doesn't matter because they don't want to think about the real problems. And part of that, I kind of get it. But like, yeah. Also, the what was her name? Dina from The Last of Us. She got railed because of her nose. Who cares?
Oh, I thought Abby got the worst of it because she was jacked.
Abby. Okay, yeah. I forgot she exists. I don't play, and I don't have a console, so. Again,
like, that's another one. Abby is another one where I'm just like, look, don't lie. Okay, tell the truth. And then, who cares, right? Like, the whole thing about Abby is, like, the first thing I said when Abby walks on screen, it was like, oh, Jesus Christ. Apparently, they still have steroids in post-apocalypse. Like, holy shit. This chick is fucking definitely on roids. And then after that, it's like, well, I mean, who's her character? I thought the Abby character was interesting enough, flawed in a cool way, and, like, she's a good character. Is she jacked? Fuck yeah, she's jacked. Does it stand out as being a little unusual in that world? Like, what do her macros look like in a post-apocalyptic world? She must be eating a lot to maintain that amount of muscle mass. But I digress. At the end of the day, who cares? That's not what the story's about. The story is not about Abby's biceps. Who gives a fuck, you know?
Yeah. Anyway, so that was our Mass Effect ranking.
Listen, I don't know, man. It's episode whatever of Split the Veil. We can do whatever we want.
No, I'm glad we did this topic, although maybe we should have saved it for a whole other episode. Hey, if you want to see this on an episode and us ranting about characters, hit us up. I don't know. But, yeah. Well, I guess with that, Jordan, where can they find you?
They can find me at The Exalted March on YouTube, sometimes on Twitter at The Exalted March. Caitie, where can the folks find you?
Can I just out you for a bit? Because you said sometimes on Twitter, and you, like, when we started this podcast, you're like, oh, someone tagged me in, like, a post that was, like, a month ago or something.
Yeah, I rarely ever look at it.
You can find me as Ghildirthalen on both YouTube and Twitter. And I guess with that, Darish.
Because I just realized what we should have done as the opening is talking about Death Stranding.
Fuck.
I can put it for, like, after the closing music. For we want to do like 5 minutes on Death Stranding.
Yeah, well, fine. We'll just talk about Death Stranding.
Okay, I mentioned this last time about Death Stranding. Like, it was cut out of one of the things we were doing when we were doing D&D, I think. And you mentioned that you loved the game. And I remember you talking about it. You and Michael played it. Tell me about Death Stranding. Why do you guys love Death Stranding?
So I think a big part of it is that, like, we, I think, like, the PC release came out, like, just a couple months before our daughter was born. And we didn't even touch it until after she was born. And so, like, I want you to picture, we are two young people, if you will, if you want to consider late 20s young, in an apartment with a brand new baby. Everyone we know that has any experience with babies live far away. Plus, there is a pandemic going on. We can't leave the house. Michael's working from home. We only leave the house. Michael goes out to, like, get groceries and then come back. And then, like, he takes me to the doctor to see, our daughter's whatever. So, like, all Michael does to leave the house is he basically a porter and grabs things for us and comes back to home and makes sure we're safe. So, like, Michael really identified with the Sam character. And then, like, obviously we have a daughter, which I guess spoilers. Have you finished the game?
I have not finished the game. I'm not even out of chapter 3. I've spent like 20 hours in chapter 3 building roads.
Okay, well, so God, we did a lot of building roads too. I guess I won't spoil it, but, like, we really identified like our newborn with, like, this newborn, because, like, she, like, was just gaining her personality, because, like, newborns are just kind of like this little ball of, like, crying, and, like, earlier than you think they start to get their personality, and, like, we kind of, like, saw that as our daughter, like, on screen, and so, like, that kind of got us. And so, like, Sam kind of learning how to be with this little baby kind of mirrored what Michael and I were going through. And then, like, I guess also on top, like, Sam has struggles with his family, Michael has struggles with his family, and then, like, I don't know, like, it just was very like, the game just really captured that moment in our lives. And, like, we just, like, sat on the couch and enjoyed it, and, like, it just really fond memories of Michael playing. I'm sitting on the couch holding a baby that's asleep on my chest and stuff like that. And like we Michael and I both share a love of like things that don't make any goddamn sense, like Twin Peaks. So we had a lot of fun just like seeing what the because sometimes the game just throws stuff out and you're like, what the fuck is going on? I'm sorry, like we love dunking on, I forgot what the guy's name is, but like the main antagonist dude.
Higgs,
we love dunking on Higgs, and the fact that like all of our dunks ended up becoming true was just so good.
Mm-hmm.
I can't even like elaborate on that, but like it was just so funny to us. And it's just like the characters were like, I mean, they're kind of generic in a way, and like the names are hilarious, like Heartman and Deathman and whatever, but like it was charming and it was heartfelt and it really captured the moment for us. And so like it just really worked for us. And then also Michael loves boring games, and I mean that in a heartening way. Like one of his favorite games is Factorio. So running around packages with very little battle is like that's his shit. And we honestly sat there for hours because Michael didn't want to play online with other people. He for him that was a game breaking experience because like the game is you are Sam Porter Bridges and you are the lone Jesus figure that will unite the country to the West, and like why are there other Sam Porter Bridges is making bridges? It didn't make sense. So he turned all those features off, and like that was more grinding. But we sat there and we build the whole road from one end to another and like a whole bunch of other features just so. And Michael also really loves cars, and we sat there just customizing cars and zooming to and fro and just maxing out all the stars. And like it was a little, maybe it was grindy, but we were together as a family and having fun. And so it in like the cheesy way, it was connecting us with our daughter in like this weird new world of COVID.
100%. I think that there are two COVID games actually. The number one is obviously Animal Crossing. That became the pandemic lockdown game. Mm-hmm. But in a weird way, even though Death Stranding came out 2018, like the re-release on PC and PS5, more recently, I think the honorable mention or sort of like the alternative COVID game is Death Stranding.
Yeah.
Because of its themes about connection, because of its themes about like the perils of going outside, basically.
Yeah.
And like braving that in order to find a way to connect people through a network, so to speak. It became the unofficial COVID game in a lot of ways. I think that thematically, it's actually really quite brilliant in that way. I have to begrudgingly tip my cap to Hideo Kojima for sort of very accurately communicating those themes. I think the plot of the game is batshit crazy, and I really
absolutely.
Like my one gripe of Hideo Kojima is that we need to stop calling him brilliant. Like he is actually a really bad writer in a lot of ways. Like to be quite honest, like he is horrendously convoluted and cliche in a lot of ways. And then there's this golden thread in the middle of all his crap where you're like, God damn it, that is really good, And it's like he's good in spite of himself. But I don't think we need to keep calling him brilliant. A lot of it is just a huge mess and it makes no sense. And what I really hate is that probably the first 5 to 8 hours of the game is like, it's a lot of bullshit. I know a lot of my friends who just said, I've tried 2 or 3 times. This is my second time trying to play the game. I bounced off of it because I didn't quite get to chapter 3 yet. Mm-hmm. And like the game is kind of dumb in the beginning. Like the real good parts of the story don't start to develop until a few hours in. And then I started to like parts of the story, in particular the themes of the story. And, it's called a walking simulator by so many people, but it's not. It's actually like a driving simulator if you do it right.
It really is.
And that's kind of like a cool feeling, like going from struggling to like go over all of this terrain and having like these huge pile of boxes on your back to driving on your motorcycle or a truck on a road that you helped build with this huge load of stuff that you never could have carried before, but like you incrementally build up your infrastructure until things that were super hard become basically easy. And that's a really satisfying thing from a gameplay standpoint. So I love the themes. I think the plot's actually bullshit. I'm tempted to skip cutscenes more so than almost any game I've ever played. I'm not skipping them because I'm looking for those little bits of thematic brilliance in there, but the story mainly just annoys me. I love the gameplay though. Like,
Yeah.
I love making deliveries. Making deliveries in games is something that I wish I could do in more games. Like in Star Citizen, I play Star Citizen to fucking be a space trucker. Like, I love taking things to and from and facing maybe minimal threats, but mainly being able to evade, avoid, plan out my strategy for making a delivery and therefore avoid trouble and conflict. And Death Stranding is like, just sitting there going like, what should be on my back versus being on the trike? What should be like, what should I, should I wear this exoskeleton or that one? Should I, what's my route going to be? If I'm already making a stop here, maybe I should take some lost cargo. Maybe I should take the standard thing and maybe loop around here. And, maybe I'll go this far in the vehicle and then I'll go on foot for this portion. And in order to do that, I'll need to take this equipment. There's a bunch of little micro choices on just doing grindy shit. So therefore that makes the grindy shit enjoyable to me because I get to make all of these little micro level strategies.
Yeah.
So yeah, anyway, I love the game. I haven't beaten it yet. I can't fully comment on the story and I guess hopefully how much better it gets. But I've been in chapter 3 for like 20 hours and I understand that I could have beaten it in like 3 hours, that chapter, but I like building out the roads.
Yeah, and you got a 5-star, everybody.
Oh, and then lastly, I'll just say this. I completely understand Michael's perspective on wanting to play offline, but I have to tell you, this might be one of the best online experiences I've ever had with the game. I absolutely love the idea of having it be connected. I think it's absolutely incredible. I thought I was going to hate it. I really considered like, you know what? I might turn that shit off if I don't like it. There's something so satisfying about seeing the notifications that somebody used a ladder that I put up in an area that's really tough to get through, or, someone liked the rope, someone, seeing sections of the road that I'm building get more and more likes and knowing that someone else is getting use out of that the same way I am it's like the brilliant thing I think about what Kojima and his team did is they set up this connected video game where all of the interactions are limited to being exclusively positive.
Yeah.
And like you can't be negative in the game. So you feel connected to all of these other players. But unlike all of these other areas of online gaming community, which can sort of vacillate between being positive and being really toxic, there's no opportunity for Death Stranding's player base to be toxic to one another. Not on the game anyway. Like all you can really do is help people and express gratitude for people's help. That's it. Those are your only options. And oddly enough, people seem very happy to do that.
Yeah. I will say like one of the reasons Michael really didn't want to do it other than like story breaking reasons, like Michael likes doing things on his own. So I feel like he likes strategically placing the ladder and placing whatever. And I think finding one in the wild would just drive him crazy a little bit. I don't know. We have talked about playing it again, particularly the I think you're probably playing the director's cut.
Director's
right?
cut.
Yeah, like that only just released. We haven't played that, and I think there is new content that we haven't done. I actually not quite sure all the differences yet, but yeah, maybe we'll end up doing that one day. I don't know. I think we just, to be honest, I know we're doing this as like a bonus, so maybe we just need to do like when you finish, do like a whole episode on it, because like I could talk about this game a lot.
So could I. I really could. I agree with that. When I'm done, when I beat it, and it's going to get derailed because I'm trying to play Horizon Zero Dawn, and then I'm going to play the new Horizon. So I don't want to rush it. When I started to look at the 2022 is such a full calendar year. I looked up how many chapters are in the game, and it's like 13. And I was like, oh shit, either I'm going to have to rush Death Stranding in order to beat it before Horizon Forbidden West comes out, or I'm going to have to sidetrack it.
It is a deceptive 13, because at one point it's like, there's a couple chapters where you blink and it's over. Like, it's not like chapter 3 where it opens up and it's this big thing. Like, it's like, it's like, I actually don't remember the number. Like chapter 13 and you sneeze, and chapter 14, like, oh, okay. I guess that was a chapter.
Yeah, I did read that chapter 3 is actually the longest. And so, that notwithstanding, I figured like, I'm just going to continue to play Death Stranding on the side. I want to grind it. I want to kind of get everything unlocked and like build everything. Because I enjoy playing it that way. So I'm going to kind of play it on this side of Horizon for the next couple months here. and then we should do a full episode on it because I think there's so much to unpack about it. And in particular, that online versus offline experience, I think that'll be really cool for us to talk about.
Yeah. Also,
more.
like the soundtrack, love it.
Beautiful. It's freaking beautiful.
And like I will say, so like I don't know how much of the soundtrack you have unlocked. I wouldn't consider this a spoiler because it's not like one of those where like sometimes when you're playing the game, like a soundtrack will just beautifully come in the background while you're walking. It's not one of those. You just like, it's a song that's just like, oh, this is in my music player suddenly. Okay. It's a song called Pop Virus. And it
fantastic. I fucking love Pop Virus so much. When people put that into a mailbox, like you can customize level 2 structures. When I pass by a fucking mailbox with Pop Virus, I'm like, well, hello, person of good taste.
Michael and I love that song so because it's also like it doesn't fit at all with the rest of the soundtrack. Like the rest of the soundtrack is like somber and kind of like down low and down here and we got you. And then Pop Virus is like it's.
I played in my private room to like get Sam pumped up and like mentally rejuvenated to go back out there.
Yeah, we did too.
Ghost is great. Trigger is great. Like there are so many great tracks from there. I said this about me and my girlfriend were watching Arcane on Netflix. Cool show. Check it out if you haven't. But they've got this thing with their soundtrack where I would just turn to my girlfriend and go, you know, sometimes people, maybe the producers or the writers of the show, they have a Spotify playlist or whatever that they're listening to while they write it. And they like a song, so they go, man, we should put this song in the show. People are going to love it. And when you hear it in a cinematic setting, you just go, yeah, that just sounds like a popular song that they like or whatever.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't have the taste that they think they do, probably myself included. All my complaints about Kojima notwithstanding, the motherfucker gets pop culture. He understands it. And so when he picks songs, it's like, shit, I got to give it to the guy. That's a really good song for this cinematic moment. Like he just gets it.
Yeah. And even like Pop Virus, even though it's so like upbeat whatever, if you actually look up the lyrics, you're like, oh, that's why this is in this game. I don't know if you've done it.
I have not looked at the lyrics.
Look at the lyrics. You're like, oh, okay. I obviously the song's in Japanese, so I should say. I obviously do not speak Japanese, and Jordan, I know you don't either. So like, you're just like, oh, what's this upbeat happy thing? You read the lyrics, you're like, oh fuck.
Brilliant. It's brilliant. I mean, it's a great slide. It is such a great change. It's one of those things where it's like you can make this thing stand out, and it's not jarring. It's just perfectly distinct against the world backdrop.
Yeah. Yeah. Also,
okay.
Sorry. I'm gonna add, have you unlocked the self-driving robot? I'll say.
I've unlocked robots, not a self-driving one.
Well, it's not driving. It just like walks on its own.
Yeah, and it has shoes on. Why does it have boots? Why? Like when that happened, okay, like my girlfriend's sitting next to me right as I'm playing this. I'm like, okay, it's gonna, when it says that you're gonna have a drone that makes deliveries for you, because I'm a normal person, I figure it's gonna be like one of those Amazon drones that like flies around and shit. Fucking Kojima is like, no, just give it legs with a table on top of the legs and put shoes on it. And
it hums to itself. It sings little songs. I love that.
I'm like, that is the weirdest thing ever.
Stupid thing. No, they're like, I will say that like you are completely. I think Kojima and David Lynch are essentially the same person. Their stories make no sense, but there's that golden thread in the middle, and there's some really awesome visuals. And that's just one of those, like, it makes no sense. It's kind of dumb, but it's the visual of just this thing just jaunting along, going do 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 all by itself is wonderful, and I love it. Michael and I, we thought it, like, I think, to be honest, maybe it changed in the director's cut, but like in the version we played, like it was kind of useless, but we loved setting it out because it was so funny.
There's a button where you can skip the little movie that it plays when it pops up out of the ground, and I never skip it. Yeah, I never skip it. I just go, you know what? Go on, little robot, do your thing.
It's great. It's great. So I love that robot. I like that game. It's a lot of really fun memories, and it's a very unique experience because like half the time you're just going, what the fuck? Like if you're sitting there and you're gonna, like, if you don't want to play the game and you just want to watch like one of those like movie compilations on YouTube, where it like tells the story and it's like 7 hours, just all the cutscenes sewn together. It makes no goddamn sense, and like you're probably not going to give a shit because like
No.
I think the experience, it like playing it really is the experience.
Yes.
And I don't think that really transfers that well to like one of those movie YouTubes. And there's a lot of games where I didn't play it, I watched it, and I feel like satisfied having watched it. I don't think I would feel that way for this game. So
no, I completely agree. I think it's a triumph in that sense, in that it's really a truly gameplay first experience from Hideo Kojima. Even though I know he loves story a lot, I think this and Metal Gear Solid 5 also were very gameplay upfront experiences, and I think that's kind of incredible.
Yeah, and like you can like anytime like they mention like extinction entity or whatever it was, you just can take a little nap because who cares? But like, yeah. Anyway, so that's all I have to add. But we should. I feel like if we do an episode on Death Stranding, it'll just be us talking about it a lot. But I at least want to talk to you again when you finish the game because I want to know how you liked it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we said we just said right now we would do 5 minutes on it, but I think we just did 15, almost 20 minutes on it easily. And so when we beat it, I could keep talking about this forever. So once I'm done with the game, we can definitely come back and do a whole episode on it.
All right. Well,
bonus content, everybody.
Boo. Is this going to be tagged on to the end of the episode, or is this going to be its own thing now?
Nah, I'll just put it on after the outro.
All right. Surprise!
Now we don't have an outro, so now the episode just ends.
Yeah. Bye.
All right, everybody, goodbye.
君を探してる霧の中で朽ち果てても